what a great weekend in Madison. I think everybody was excited to be outdoors, and the fans just came out and packed the place, and what a thrill it was to take a series from Ohio State. I think that's a team every Badger sport looks forward to playing and matching up against, and when you can take a series win against the Buckeyes, we told our team going into it, these are the series you tell stories about years later. So that was really fun, and just a picturesque weekend to take two out of three from them was great.
Seems like every time you turn on a game, Ava's doing something to score runs or get runs in. I mean, what have you seen from her approach change, in the last year or so, or how have you seen her change even over the course of the early part of this season?
Yeah, I mean, she's a human highlight reel. I think you watch her at shortstop just making ridiculous plays out there. You watch her on the bases, how she runs, how she gets after it, that she can, put a bunt down, and then she just crushes monster home runs. And so she has just been a thrill to coach. I saw her on my way walking over here. She was walking out of the weight room, getting a little extra lifting in on Monday, and she is that strong. So when you see someone built that way, she's just such a winner. So she's been a real pleasure to have in the program.
Coach, you want to talk a little bit about Tessa Magnanimo. So she's about doubled her innings, her career innings, this year alone. You want to speak a little bit like how she's stepped up this year as a grad and a leader of this team?
Yeah, Tessa, for her fifth year, we're so glad she came back. She's a real academic kid that wanted to do grad school, and just said, Coach, I don't know if you want me, but this is what I want. When the season ended last year, that she was really the one campaigning to come back. And, thank goodness for Tessa. She has just been the heart and soul of the team, and she fights. And for that kid to get the Big Ten wins that she's had, against these teams in tough situations, sometimes when we're shorthanded out there, and she just fights. So she's worth the price of admission alone. I think when you see that kid fired up on the mound and just battling, and it's fun to follow. But I told her what an inspiration she is to so many players to watch her get after it.
Coach, we're about in the last quarter of the marathon, the last leg of it. Thoughts and feelings and how we're approaching the last part as we come into Big Ten conference?
Well, it's such a great conference. So we're halfway done with Big Ten play. We've got half to go still, and everybody just you battle to make the Big Ten tournament, which is a big deal. And then when you get in, you have the ability to make some noise. And this is just a clutch team. So I think when you've got a group like this that can put the ball over the fence and that can play really good defense and has the ability to shut down some really good teams, the number of shutouts we've had this year is just astronomical for a whole season that we've already put together. So I think it makes us dangerous. For it being a tough year, you would never know it, that you see the fight, you see the energy, the fans, the cheering, the long ball. I'm having a blast, and I can't wait to see what this group does down the stretch, and I think we're going to be scary for anyone to match up with late.
You mentioned that shutout number, the fact that you guys have already almost matched the number from last year that you had. I mean, does that surprise you? What does it tell you about this team?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you graduate, you're ace, and then you have a transfer pitcher as well, and you're kind of a little shorthanded. I think the staff just picked up where they left off. You've got Coach Roberts, the new pitching coach, he's really talented, and everybody's added to their game, and so they're bought in, and at any point, you can put up a zero, and that's really hard to do in softball because the ball certainly does fly. If you were at Goodman this weekend, you got entertained by watching the ball fly.
Coach, we saw on socials this last Friday that it looked like you and some of the team members were at the Children's Hospital, and it looked like there was a Badger Blast, some kind of art thing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, a great tradition for all UW athletes is to visit the Children's Hospital, usually on home game weekends. And so we had a lot of softball players visiting the Children's Hospital on Friday, and they got a little inspiration. One of our last visits, a little 15-year-old girl wasn't able to do the decorating the canvas and Badger Blast, so the team made her a piece of art and delivered it. And when we visited and gave it to her, she was asking for a home run. And so it was kind of funny that Ellie Hubbard was in the room, and she's got a couple, and you had freshman Hillary Blomberg. She's got one, and so it was a tall order. I told her I can't I can't hit any. And so, you know, the rest of the team, we kind of shared the story of what hard is. And you get to visit the Children's Hospital, and a hard season in softball is not hard. But when you're battling cancer and you're 15 and it's your first chemo treatment. And so I think they were inspired. And she asked him, she said, well, if you hit a home run, how will I know it's for me? And I said, well, can they give you a symbol? And she asked him to make a heart. And so you probably saw a lot of hearts this weekend, and to come out opening night against Ohio State and put 3 over the fence, there were a lot of hearts being tossed up, and I think that's what makes this team kind of fun to watch, that they've got that fire, even in the first inning, to put 2 over the fence, that they were definitely inspired by that visit.
You've got a busy week with road doubleheader against the Gophers and then home against Penn State. What are your scouting reports on both those teams?
You know, the Gophers, they're a tough matchup all the time. It's that border battle. So I think you go out there and you know they've been just a tough matchup for us. So we're excited to get out there. You know, but they can hit the ball. So containing them and playing great defense is a big deal. And then Penn State's making a lot of noise in conference this year. They're way up there leading the RPI. They're the team to chase. But we've matched up really well with Penn State in the past, and so they don't like coming to Madison, and that's a hard matchup. Back from the Coach Alvarez days, he said, "I'll tell you what, Penn State doesn't like coming to Madison, Ohio State doesn't like." And so I think the teams had those series circled, and if we could put out the kind of effort and approach that we did against Ohio State, against Penn State, I think we've got a chance to do something special.